Now, more than ever, training must elevate beyond death by slideshows and war stories to rush students to an early dismissal. This is your moment where you are figuratively being tapped on the shoulder to do something extraordinary to your certification as an instructor or trainer. And that is to transform the minds and hearts of peace officers with accountable and transparent skills to address real-world issues. In this module on real criminal justice reform, I want to empower your law enforcement approach to instructional systems design from a practical and legal perspective. 5 steps to creating resilient courses. I am Charles Rambo, a retired lieutenant with over 30 years of real-world law enforcement expertise, certified as a senior instructor by the Georgia Peace Officer Standards and Training Council. I have taught hundreds of law enforcement field training officers and instructors about instructional design and delivery. I am also certified as an Apple teacher in utilizing iBooks, Keynote, Pages, Numbers, iMovie, and Final Cut Pro to create compelling professional-grade courses. My expert analysis is often featured in major news stories concerning training operations. Today, I'm also honored to serve on an educational committee with counselors and clinical psychiatrists in exploring how neuroscience can transform the cultures of law enforcement agencies. We begin this tutorial with the most powerful revelation about human cognition. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Now, exegeting this revelation into the context of this tutorial, we interpret it as the ability to empower a new generation of law enforcement officers with a greater level of accountability, transparency, and autonomy to master any call for service. And because this is a very powerful moment for transformation of the heart and mind, is the reason that I refuse to teach adult learners on the suggested standard of 10th grade learning. So, in my signature Socratic style of teaching, I want to ask you this very critical question. If the 10th grade standard is how we should teach adult learners, could this be the source of the thinking and behavior found in today's organizational cultures? Yes, I am prepared to answer the critical comments to my statement. So I will begin with this defense that because law enforcement officers are entrusted with autonomy that has the most significant impact on the people that we serve, a new field of knowledge is needed to align people's minds to the heart of the agency's mission with practical and legal applications. As instructors and trainers in charge of change, the practical application must engage the heart and mind of a new generation of officers beyond mere slide presentations, war stories, and 3-hour lunch breaks. These can no longer serve as fillers for content that either you don't know or pacify students' desire for a mere certificate, answers to the test questions, or when will the credit hours appear on their post profile. Because you are in charge of change, your classroom is the foundation where new skills are processed, stored, and recalled for critical thinking and real-world application. And I'm not solely speaking from the examples given to me by neuroscience professionals. I am bearing witness to how thousands of global professionals have emerged from my online and classroom settings with thought leadership to take on real-world issues and report back to me unprecedented results. However, and most critical to instructors and trainers, here's the legal application. The content of your training course could be court-tested in a civil or criminal trial. Let me share with you an example from my time-tested courses on curriculum and organizational policing strategies. Immediately upon getting the courses approved and accredited by our post council, I was honored to have been contracted by a public safety agency to deliver 3 of the modules to the entire agency. 1 year later, I was served a subpoena demanding copies of all my course files, leaving no stone unturned after lengthy phone discussions and deposition. The savvy attorney could not find any proximate cause that my courses contributed to the harm of his client's claim of negligence of training. In fact, at the end of the deposition, the plaintiff's attorney suggested that I might be called as their expert witness. At trial, I'm now looking at all of my content marked as exhibits in the evidence catalog. I'm now on the witness stand defending the course and how I analyzed, designed, delivered, implemented, and received evaluations of the courses. By the end of my testimony, not only was I released, I was later notified that there was no contributory negligence to the plaintiff's far-reaching claim. Was I upset that the student cited and challenged the integrity of my curriculum in his lawsuit? Absolutely not. I processed in my mind and heart that this was an opportunity for the lesson plan, the slideshow, the practical exercise, the evaluations, and the certificates to go from being just state accredited, but now court tested. Practical and legal validation that criminal justice learning online conforms its qualified insights according to what the time demands for real criminal justice reform. So now that you know that what you teach, past or present, can be subject to intense public scrutiny or judicial review, let's empower you with the same 5 steps to creating resilient courses through the instructional system design process known as ADDIE. Step 1, analysis. Define what will be learned. Know the subject matter and the organizational culture that you are teaching. Get a comprehensive knowledge of trends, relevant case laws, applicable policies, and state and federal statutes. From the terminal performance objective to the enabling objectives, your analysis will align core competencies to comprehension, testing, and retention of the task to be performed. Step 2, design. Specify how the new knowledge will be instructed. Prepare your lesson plans with 4 entities in mind: the student, the organizational culture, the community, and the courts. Because your lesson plan is subject to a subpoena ducis tecum or an Open Records Act request, imagine yourself as the news reporter, jury, or judge, making judgments about the quality of your content. On first read, it should be unequivocally clear that you are in charge of competent learning objectives and delivery. Step 3, development. Enhance course content with innovative multimedia that allows students to see themselves in the scope of applying the core competencies to real-world applications. Let me disclaim that Apple Inc. is not an official sponsor or endorser of this tutorial or has provided me with any products as an advertisement. But I'm an admitted Appleholic, addicted to creating compelling content with Apple devices and software. From creations of slides in Keynote, handouts and manuals and pages, to movie clips rendered in Final Cut Pro, I have created course content that has engaged law enforcement officers to the edge of their seats. In the analysis phase, I used pictures and videos of the agency's officers engaged in action so that they could see themselves in the context of the learning. Step 4, implementation. Deliver the compelling content in ways to keep students engaged. Keep your course on time and within the scope of the lesson and mastery of the objectives. In your delivery style, maximize every millisecond by engaging the student's depth of comprehension through group discussion, debate, research, and presentations on findings about the new skills. But most critical to the implementation is the transfer of the skills to the organizational culture with minimum resistance. And step 5, evaluation. Determine the relevancy of your course content by using formative and summative evaluation, meaningful feedback from the course rollout to end of course completion. Formative evaluation is a continual process of gauging stakeholders at every level of the agency about how the new skills are being applied in real-world situations. Summative evaluation occurs at the end of the course, usually in a survey to evaluate the overall effectiveness of the delivery of the instruction. When reviewing these evaluations, develop some tough skin and be open to informed and even low information perspectives that may lead you back to modifying any step of this ADDIE process. This Learn and Lead tutorial on real criminal justice reform has empowered instructors and trainers with thought leadership on developing new fields of knowledge consistent with what the time demands in delivering superior law enforcement services to the communities that you serve. And behind the scenes in training is a pioneer just like you in charge of change, transforming ADDIE into real-world performances that will exceed everyone's expectations. Please like, subscribe, and share our channel, dedicated to empowering a new generation of criminal justice leaders just like you, not to conform to the ways of the world, but a renewal of minds and hearts towards legitimate criminal justice reform.